this is a good time to get into the Black Wall Street report and talk about money with my guest reporter who is a former investment banker. She is an accountant, a forensic accountant. She's always working in money and she's always working out money. And she's also the CEO and founder of Kids Who Bank, a financial empowerment and education organization for young people, for kids in 137 schools nationwide. Please give your attention to the amazing Jatali B. What's going on, lady?
Cheers, Rakia. Nothing much. It's the end of the year. I'm telling you, I'll say it every time. September to December is a magical time in the finance world, if you ask me. So that's basically what's going on with me.
Good, good. Money,
How are
money,
you?
money. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. What's happening in Black Wall Street world? What do you have for us today?
Today we're talking about diversifying into Africa.
Mm.
So it is no secret to anyone who has crossed my path that I love the continent named Africa. I invest in it, I give back to it. I'm always looking for reasons to visit. As such, I'm always frequented with people who have questions on where to start. So, I mean, ranging from people who have never been there but would love to live there, or investors who want to purchase real estate or a stake in a business or a restaurant, etc., out in Africa. So these are going to be my top three choices as your starter tips for them, and what I normally tell them, and one advanced tip.
Okay, top three tips for investing in Africa. Yes.
Yes,
All right. What you got? What's tip number one or
starter tip.
starter tip? What you got?
Tip number one, research is so important to do your research. And by research, I'm talking about researching what part of Africa you want to go to. I know it's cliche, but whenever I explore a new area in Africa, I always do my research. So, like when I visited Ghana, I was checking out to see what local business websites were saying about that area, what political turmoil they had, if any, what areas were suggested as risky, the kind of vaccines I would need if I was obligated to get any, and if I needed a visa.
Mm.
People forget to do the research about these things, especially the visa. You would be amazed how many people get stuck in the airport visiting places around Africa or around the world who have forgotten to get a visa, didn't realize they needed one, because I think, especially like America, we get comfortable knowing that we don't normally need a visa. So my websites that I like to check out, CDC, for instance. CDC is amazing because not only does it tell you what vaccines you need, it mentions a visa, and it also tells you if there's an outbreak of any particular disease in that area. I also like, business tech, .co.za, and I like venturesafrica.com. Now, those three places will tell you everything from the kind of money that's in the country, how what's the equivalent of the dollar to that in that country, how strong is your money, the list continues.
Great.
Tip number two, schedule a trip to visit the area that you like. Before you just decide to buy without ever going, I've met people who've made that mistake. You should always visit the area personally. If you're interested in visiting, let's say you don't have a network of friends who like to travel or interested in going to Africa, there are websites like my personal favorite, the group Nomadness. Have you heard of Nomadness?
No.
It's amazing. So Nomadness is a predominantly Black or people of color network who love to travel. They all travel. It was created by a woman of color named Evita, and she has thousands of people. I think it's hundreds of thousands of people of color in this group now.
So when you
And
say
like
when you say people of color, you saying are these African Americans? Are these people of the African diaspora? Are these Latinos? Are these Indian?
African
Are
Americans,
these Asian?
Latino, Indians, and there aren't a lot of Asians thus far from my
Okay.
viewpoint, from
All
what I've
right.
seen,
All
but
right.
there are a lot of Indians, African
Okay.
Americans,
Okay.
Africans, the list
Muslim.
continues.
Okay. Good. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So there's a collection in there of just women of who are Muslim. And the coolest thing about Nomad is, in my personal opinion, although it's a private group on Facebook, once you're invited, when they have their group trips, for instance, there was 500 of them that went to Dubai last year.
Wow.
500 people of color from around the US that went to Dubai. They when there's glitch fairs, like let's say for instance, I got a glitch fair from them where we went to Dubai for $200, and they had things like that for Africa and places like that. No Madness is the bomb. Tip number three, when you get to your location, network, and keep in contact with the locals. People forget. You see someone, you pass a real estate office, you never think to just walk into the location and talk to the agent, right? I can't tell you how many times I've stayed in contact with people from these areas, and they're like family to me now. And when I visit, amazing network. They keep you abreast on what's really truly happening in the area, and they also help you with deals. For instance, I walked into a random real estate location in South Africa many years ago. This was about 12 years ago. I befriended a woman. Her and I, after the last 12 years of me simply once a year sending her Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday or whatever, we've become, of course, very cool. And like the other day, now I'm looking at property in South Africa. She was able to get me a property that was 700,000 for only 400,000.
Nice.
So when you stay in contact with people, it goes far. So you need to deepen that.
Can I ask you
Business
something real quick about South Africa really
Yes.
quick, where, you know, it was in the news the other day or a couple of weeks ago with Trump, and he was, you know, rallying up the white supremacists because the South African government, I don't know if this is true, a conspiracy theory, is
It is.
pushing white farmers out. Is that
Yes.
a red flag for those that might want to invest in South Africa?
To me, as a person of color, it makes me even more interested in investing in South Africa, because of the fact that this is them reclaiming the land. This is them pushing out the Dutch settlers, and giving people of color who live there and are from there and born there a chance to actually own property.
So is that
Because a lot of
true or not
that's
true?
lands.
Is that
It's
true or not true? So
It's
they
true.
are
It
doing
is
that.
true.
I see. I heard it wasn't true, and the South African government was like, "That's not what we're doing. This isn't about racism or."
It's not about racism. I think the way it's being construed is wrong. What is true is that they are reclaiming a lot of the land. They are forcing the natives, the Dutch, the white people who are there, they're forcing them to actually have to repurchase, make sure they have proper deeds and titles for the land, because some of them kind of bullied people out of their properties and just kept the land. So that they're kind of forcing people to say, let me see your deed. Who did you buy this from? Things of that nature. And that become a big thing because a lot of people are like, well, what happens if the person is dead and I don't know where that deed is? Well, guess what, buddy? Now you have trouble. And I think it's kind of amazing because the government is just really reclaiming the land for the people of color. So I have friends on the ground in South Africa, and they're saying that although...
For the Africans, let's be clear on that, but go ahead.
Yes, for the Africans, the people of color, the darker Africans, you know, because there's this situation that in South Africa, the white Dutch settlers who have lived there for the last 50 years, some of them who have been born there, say that they like, oh, I'm African too. But anyway, it is true. There are truths to the rumor, but, you know, definitely do your research. But you'll see that there's a whole lot happening, but it's a good thing for people of color. It's the same way as for Ghana. They accept African Americans in Ghana. South Africa is doing the same thing where they're starting to allow more African Americans, Black people into Africa.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
Yes, it has me so excited. So then the last tip, and this is going to be for the advanced person, there are travel grants given from the government. So nyfa.org, GrantWatch, and grant.gov, you can actually find grants to go towards you actually leaving the country and going to explore another country. So those are my tips for today. So visit venturesafrica.com, m.gov news, Forbes, Bloomberg, all the typical sites. Do your research, visit, don't be a stranger, and network.
Yeah, and invest in Africa. Jatali B, Kids Who Bank, where can people contact you?
You can contact me at info@kidswhobank.com or my website, www.kidswhobank, social media, everything is Kids Who Bank.
All right.
Thank you, Rakia.